what are we going to talk about today? I had set up to speak about, first of all, the Trump Takeover protests that we had. Indivisible Kingwood sent out a message to their entire network asking folks to go ahead and let's start protesting this takeover that Trump is attempting. It was an impromptu thing. I think they sent it out 4 days ago. And all the organizers just had that amount of time to get their networks together and get their signs together and all of that. And as usual, in my very red city of Kingwood, Texas, Cindy Hendrickson, along with Vicky, got it all put together here in town. And I just want to get you started with a little synopsis of what I did in taping some of what people had to say there. So while more people join into the fold, let me go ahead and play that out, and then we'll come back. By the way, folks, you can give me a call directly if you want to say anything. Tell me how yours was, 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747 if you want to give me a call, if you want to talk live on air. All right, so give me a call. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get started with that video from yesterday. Here we go.
I got sides, I got bottled waters, I got bananas.
You got everything.
I got cowbells. I have the world on my side. As Martin Luther King said, it's always time to do the right thing. It's always a good time to do the right thing. So I feel like that's what they're doing.
The wholly owned subsidiary of Trump in the governor's mansion right now likes to say real Texans don't run away. First, I invite him to Google Sam Houston and run away straight. Second, I say real Texans don't cheat.
I'm here because we want to save democracy for Texas. My dad didn't die for autocracy, and my children deserve freedom.
You and everyone, don't give in. We have no choice. We're going to take our democracy back.
Texas is not a red state. Texas is a gerrymandered state.
I think a lot of people in Texas are waking up to the fact that our leadership does not have our best interest at heart. The thing that's going on right now are Democrats leaving the state in order to keep from voting on doing Trump's will of the gerrymandering. I think that's very heroic.
Everything that I protested for has been taken away from me. And it's time for me to get out of the house and say, no more. I'm angry.
That is just a synopsis of what a lot of those out there had to say. Let me tell you a little something. Kingwood, Texas, and this is how I know things will change as we keep the pressure on. Kingwood, Texas is a town. It's a suburb of Houston. It is within the city limits, but it's sort of an autonomous town. It probably has between 65 and 75,000 people, depend on the boundaries that you choose to define Kingwood in. And it's a very conservative town. It's where Ted Cruz comes to raise money. It's where a lot of the right wing, one of the strongest Tea Party was built, right here in Kingwood, Texas. And it turns out that you could not ever see progressives, let alone Democrats, raise their heads out of this place. I became the president of the Kingwood area Democrats in a few years back. And one of the things that, along with the best, and it was mostly women, a few guys supporting, is we threw ourselves out there in Kingwood and we became active and we were all over the place. We tabled everywhere. We went to schools and tabled. And these women that pretty much engaged in the club, they really went out there. We participated in the parade. We went and got big Kingwood era Democrat signs printed, and we marched in every Kingwood era parade. And the floats, we started also building floats because we were not going to let this town that is a red town kind of diminished that. Hey, in as much as it is a conservative town, we had about, at that time it was about 35%, I think you could say, were Democrats and progressives. I think we've gotten that number up now easily to 45% because you don't have a problem as we protest now. We started after doing the stint with the Kingwood era Democrats. I also worked with some professors and students from Lone Star College, and we established during the Occupy movement. We established Occupy Kingwood, where we stayed on the corners of the streets for. We did it for 52 consecutive weeks. Let me tell you, 52 consecutive. I remember during a thunderstorm, I didn't want that space, a weekend that we didn't go out there. And I told my wife, you know what, it's pouring down rain, drive me out there. I wanted to get the video with myself and the sign that says Occupy Kingwood, and I put the signs out even as it was raining and thunderstorming. And the greatest thing happened that day, and this is how I know changes are coming. The best thing happened. Stayed out there, and you started after about the rain calmed down probably about 8:30 or so. I went out there at 8 in the morning. About 8:30 or so, the rain calmed down and people just started showing up, right? We got about 5 people first that just kind of trickled in. And then we ended up that day with about 20 people out there on the corner, Occupy Kingwood. That is when we really started asserting ourselves. A lot of progressives and Democrats getting together, irrespective of how conservative these people would want to claim this town was. And we started executing, This is a multi-year process. You don't change the psyche of a community overnight. The Republicans didn't win overnight. They didn't take over the House overnight. They didn't take over the Senate overnight. They didn't build a moral majority overnight. What they did was they were persistent. They didn't go after a woman's right to choose overnight. They were persistent. They didn't go over taking away your health care overnight. They were persistent. They were persistent, and they kept at it over and over and over again. Here in Kingwood, in a red area, we're a persistent bunch. And now we have a great leader carrying on carrying it on with Indivisible Kingwood, and she is bringing people together. And let me tell you something. The largest crowd we got was probably over between 50 to 70 people on Occupy Kingwood back several years back. And I tell you what was the best and most surprising thing to me. When we had the No Kings march No Kings protest in Kingwood, we got, listen to this, we had never gotten more than 70 people or so for any progressive cause where we are protesting. And Cindy Hendrickson and the Indivisible Kingwood Machine brought out 700 plus people to that rally. And here's the other kicker. This is the suburbs. These people weren't people bussed in. These were people that were organic to the town, that had it. And these are people who, many of them approached me to let me know they were not Democrats. They had either been Republicans that just have had it. They just can't deal with what MAGA has done to their party, or they were independents that lean either way, but that were now leaning progressive. And they, as I'm speaking to these folks, they're looking me out to tell me this stuff. Why am I telling all of you this? Because today I had a relative of mine tell me how depressed she was, that everything that Trump is doing is working, that everything that he's trying is working, and you know what's happening. And I had to tell her, no, it's not. First of all, I had to remind her that we were here before. We were here before, and the reason why we are here again is because we've dropped the ball. All of us have dropped the ball. And we didn't do what the bad side have been doing for a long time. And that is the persistence of the plutocracy, the persistence of the oligarchy, the persistence of the evil sect of the evangelicals. They kept on over and over again. They didn't let up. They never let up. Margaret Ryan says, now we have to engage and press the issue of not spending dollars on consultants, but go to each of the local and state activists. We are meeting the people. We know more than a desk jockey consultant. Margaret Ryan, that message should be framed. That is a message you should send to the Democratic Party. That's a message you should send to every single non-governmental organization, 501c3, that is trying to raise the bar. St. Joan on Jones Street. No, it's not. What are we talking? What is no, it's not? I'm curious to what you're talking about. St. Joan on Jones Street. What is no, it's not? Gloria Maloney just joined. Welcome aboard, as well as John Nicolette, Michael Stephen Smith, Barbara Ryan, Jennifer Grench, DPL. Welcome aboard. All right. So again, why am I bringing this up? Because a lot of people are feeling down and depressed. Let me tell you, and I am serious as a heart attack. I do not get down. I do not get depressed. Every time I get a signal that something is not going as it should, it's a reason for me to engage. Every now and then you may see me get on here at 1 a.m, just because I want to get that message out and not sleep on it. So that the first thing in the morning some of you see is the message. How are we going to go ahead and take care of business? How are we going to ensure that this crap doesn't continue? How are we going to ensure that this evil subsides? Well, it subsided after the Reconstruction. It subsided after the Red Scare. It subsided after the Tea Party, but we didn't kill it after the Tea Party. And it's back again. And you know what? We're going to do it again. And you know why we're going to do it again? Because most people that are supporting the evil, they're doing it from a position of ignorance. And the thing about ignorance is it actually affects them proper. I want you to see this video from this interview that I did from a former, somebody that's worked all his life, disabled now without insurance. He came to the protest with his cane. He came to the protest with his cane. Why? He wanted to stand up. This is something that can happen to just about anybody. Here it goes. All right, folks, I'm here talking to...
Hello, good morning.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Peter. I'm Peter from Houston. I'm a native Houstonian of immigrant parents. I was born in Texas. I love Texas, and we're trying to save our beautiful state from gerrymandering. Racial gerrymandering is out of control, and we need to take back the streets.
Now, you are out here, my dear brother, with a cane.
I am.
This shows the importance that you feel being an active citizen is right now. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've been disabled for 6 years. I'm currently unemployed. I have no insurance. I have to go to Legacy Community Health with the help of friends because of my disability. And right now, I'm getting around, I'm walking around, but there are people that are suffering, that their health care is being taken away. Disability people feel powerless right now.
There are millions of people like you out there. You served Texas. You worked in Texas for decades. And now that you are in your time of need, your state, your country is going pretty much denying you that which you worked for.
They absolutely are. There are days when I just want to hide. I want to hide. And I understand you keep wanting to give in, but we can't do that because we put into so much into our system. I have worked over about 50 years now. I'm 62 right now. I'm getting ready. I'm hoping I can apply for Social Security, disability, and benefits, but the way this tyrannical regime is going, I don't know what to expect.
Well, let me tell you, you say you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You're not waiting for what to expect. You're demanding that which you earn, You made this country. You made this country. You work this economy that we see here. It's thanks to you and all of us who do a good day's work. And in our time of need, that is what society is all about. Thank you so kindly for talking to me.
Thank you, and everyone, don't give in. We have no choice. We're going to take our democracy back.
All of our country's problems from... Yes, we're going to take our democracy back. And it is good to see people standing up. Again, this is a guy without insurance. This is a guy disabled. This is a guy that has worked 50 years of his life. And now this is a guy that did everything that we are told to do. And he's living in dire straits. And we have an evil administration. And I repeat that, and I don't say that as figuratively. I say this literally. We have an evil administration that's passing policies that put the health of people like this guy at risk. And you know what? It is something we should not ever tolerate. And the protest that's going on is great. But you know what comes after the protest? I was speaking to a political political activist, somebody in the party today. And I looked at him and I said, not looked at him, we were speaking over the phone. And I said, what we have to be careful of is to remember, we will win this election in the primaries. And what we must ensure is that the Democratic Party doesn't do what it does a whole lot. And that it's put in a whole bunch of corporatists and support a whole bunch of corporatists in the primaries, such that by the time they get to the election, they're nothing but Republican lights or neoliberals that simply, if that is what the people want, they'll simply go and vote for the Republican that is a better representation of neoliberalism. So therefore, as I spoke to him and he's up in the party, I said, this year, the one thing, whereas many times many of us have been silent of before, the one thing that we have got to do is make sure that we handle the primary correctly. And that should have started in New York with Zorahan Mamdani. Why? Because the people spoke. In New York, the people spoke. They said who they wanted. Zorahan Mamdani. Mamdani said it wrong. They spoke. And that's who they elected, not by a squeaker, by a landslide. The polls have him way ahead, not by a squeaker, but by a landslide. And the two leaders of the Democratic Party currently, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, have yet to back this person who has galvanized the votes of Gen Z, Gen Y, older folks, and is likely about to win even the Jewish vote. This Muslim guy who they try to malign is likely going to win the Jewish vote as well, as long as we ensure the smear campaign by the oligarchs are unsuccessful. Don't forget, folks, if you want to give us a call, you can do so. You can do so at 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. This is your program as well. I want to play one last video because this woman says it all. We've been here before. I forgot to cue it up, so I am queuing it up as we speak. I am queuing it up as we speak because I didn't queue it up before, and I am trying to get to it now. And I think this is it. Yep, this is it. I want you to listen to how this woman put it here, and then we'll take it on the other side. Here we go. Morning, beautiful. What's your name?
Irene.
Irene, you are here protesting on a very hot Saturday morning. I know you could be at home at your pool, sitting down with a cup of coffee. Why are you here?
I'm here because I'm angry.
Why are you angry?
I'm angry about a lot of things. I'm angry about what's going on in White House. I'm angry about all of the shenanigans that's being pulled in my state of Texas and in the White House. They're just taking everything that we got. I've been protesting since 1964. Everything that I've protested for has been taken away from me. And it's time for me to get out of the house and say, no more. I'm angry.
Now, you are of an age where you have worked all of your life. You have invested in this country. You made this country. Now we have some charlatans out there that are attempting to rule by decree that which all of you worked for.
Yes.
Tell me, what do we need to do to mitigate this?
Well, the first thing we have to do is put our boots on the ground. We got to if you're angry, you need to be out here. Because if you're in the house, we think you're happy and we think you don't care. Everything that we ever got in America, voting rights, abortion rights, every right that we've ever had, we have had to come out and stand in the sun and the elements to get it. Nobody gives you anything. You got to come out here, and that's why I'm here. And I encourage everybody, if you're upset, if you're mad, you need to be out here. Let somebody know you're mad. Because if you're in the house, I think you're happy.
And that's the best closer. Thank you so kindly.
You're welcome.
All of our country's problems from. And I love her passion, and that is what we need. We all have to be out there. And like I said, I'm very proud of my red area. We've really started doing a whole lot from the inception of the Tea Party, the Occupy movement, the Democratic Party taking back control 2018, and now with what we're doing. And it is a pressure that we have to keep on because, like I said, the evil ones never stop. And by the way, when I speak about the evil ones, I'm not talking about our rank and file Republican brothers and sisters, because we want them. In fact, we want them into the fold, whether they call themselves Republicans, Democrats. I don't care what the hell they call themselves. But it's the ones that are manipulating their minds. It's the ones that are doing harm to their psyche that allows them to do harm to others. I want to say unknowingly, but what it is, it's those that are waking up that piece of the brain that is up for defense. I was supposed to look up for a video that on TikTok that I found. And what it was this woman calling her congresswoman. This MAGA woman was represented by a progressive Democrat. And she called this woman and asked her, "Why do you hate me?" The MAGA woman called the congressman, "You are hateful. Why do you hate me? Why do you want to take X and Y away from me? Why are you doing this?" And she cussed the congresswoman out, telling her about how much she hates them. And this was left on the congresswoman's voicemail. And she put it up on TikTok. And I thought I liked it. I didn't. And I was trying to find it because I wanted to play for you how vile that was, as this woman just darn right, vilified the congresswoman. This is a very good congresswoman. And here's the thing. If you watch Fox News, if you watch AON, if you watch Newsmax and all these channels, you understand where this woman is coming from. This woman thinks that all of you in this chat that consider themselves progressives, she thinks you have horns. She thinks you have horns ready to stab her with. That's who they think you are. One of the reasons you don't see me hating on these folks is, again, I feel sorry for them. These are people that are afraid, that were made afraid of their shadows. They were made afraid of you. You are a liberal. You are a danger. You are a clear and present danger for them. They don't understand that what you are doing by being in the progressive movement, you are saving their butts. They don't get that the people that are telling them to be scared of us are the ones they should fear, because they're the ones taking away the health care that they need. They're the ones taking away the income that they need. They are the ones taking away the opportunity, the equal access to success that all of us want. It's they who are taking it away. But the message on the right is so complete in covering these people's psyche that very few of them actually see. So what do? Our mainstream media isn't doing the job of constantly being the backstop to lies, the backstop to misinformation. I want to give you one good example. And I'm going to go back in time just to show you how cauterizing and bad, how the mainstream media allows stuff to cauterize, put it into people's frame of mind, and it just stays there permanently. Look, I remember, you remember the birther movement, and I know I'm going back, but this is important for you to understand because it's one of the clearest way to show it. Remember the birther movement. The birther movement was that brother Biden was not Biden. I'm sorry. Obama was not a legitimate president because he was not a natural born American. That was the narrative that they gave. All of us, every American, I'm a naturalized American citizen. I had to learn American history. I already knew it because of the schools that I went to in Panama. I had both American and Panamanian history. We had to learn them equally well, and world history, that is. But everybody who learns American history knows what a natural born citizen is. And our journalists should know that as well. Donald Trump, the billionaire, should know that as well. You would think he's educated. Now, everybody accepts that Obama's mother is a white woman from Kansas. A white American woman from Kansas is Obama's mother. That's all you need to know. You need to know nothing else. Obama's father is a Kenyan. They made claims Obama was not born in Hawaii. They made claims Obama was born in Kenya. They made claims Obama was born in Asian country her second husband was, Thailand. I think it was Thailand. They made all these claims. But here's the funny thing that the media could have stopped the stupid birther meme immediately. Obama didn't even need to show a birth certificate as far as where he was born. He didn't need to do that. Why? Because his mother was a white American woman from Kansas. That alone, irrespective of where Obama was born, made him a natural born citizen. That's it. Senator McCain was born in the same hospital that I was born in Panama. I am a Panamanian because my mother and father are Panamanians. I was born in Panama. El Señor McCain, former Senator John McCain, was born in Panama, but he was a natural born citizen because his parents were from America. And that's why nobody raised hell when he ran for senator. I mean, for president, which means you have to be a natural born citizen to be president of the United States. And likewise, nobody raised hell at the time that I think it was Ted Cruz, who was born in, I believe, Canada. Either Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio. I think it was Ted Cruz, born in Canada. You see? The media could have squashed that right away. It should never have been a story. Because once it's accepted that Obama's mother was that woman from Kansas, the argument was over. It didn't matter where he was born. He was a natural born citizen. But what they do is they assume the American population doesn't know their civics. And it seemed like these reporters, I had yet to see a reporter said, I wish some reporter came and said, Obama was born in Hawaii, but it doesn't matter if he was born in Thailand or Kenya. He's a natural born citizen. That would have ended it there. And no coverage should have ever been given to that subject by any reputable media outlet thereafter. But the mainstream media kept on it, and people started to believe that there was a question as to the legitimacy of the president. And that is the fault of the media, which should have squashed it right there. And when I talk about the supporting mainstream or supporting media like ours, independent media, that's what I'm talking about. Because you know what the birther story was good for? The birther story was good for CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and all these news channels getting a whole lot of eyeballs. What happened today? Did he release his birth certificate today? What happened today? And in doing so, they aided the Tea Party movement in its ignorance. I remember, and for those of you who listen to me all of the time, there's this story when I tell you that they don't blame don't be so hard on our Republican brothers and sisters, on our MAGA brothers and sisters. They're just ignorant. They were just ill-informed. And if you are a Republican brother and sister that's on my sub chat, I have quite a few right now. This isn't meant for you. This is meant for those in your party that chose to be ignorant. Okay? Here's the thing. I never forgot. And some of you have heard this story before. When I was writing my book, I think it was It's Worth It. In fact, I think it was It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. I'm inside a Starbucks, and I'm a blogger. I used to be in Starbucks every day. I would be in Starbucks between 4 to 8 hours every day. In between my shows, I'll do my morning show, go to Starbucks, finish up my show, go to Starbucks every day. Okay, run back to the studio, do the show live, go back to Starbucks and write. And this woman apparently sees me in there every day. So she comes and she sits down next to me, asks me what I do. I explain to her that I'm a blogger, I'm a radio show host, I'm on KPFT 90.1 FM, plus my own network stations, and also that I was writing a book. So we got into talking about healthcare, and she was having problems with her insurance company, and we started going stuff. And, I imagine because I live in Kingwood, she probably think I'm one of those black Republicans in Kingwood. She was comfortable talking about her issues with the healthcare, etc. She doesn't know I'm likely the most left-wing person she's ever spoken to in her life. Now she comes and she talks about healthcare, and we're talking about healthcare systems and how she has to get pre-authorization in her healthcare, in her insurance, and how she has to do all these things with her insurance. Okay, fine. And I am giving her, wouldn't it be better if it worked like this? Oh, yeah, that would be good. And then she had her own ideas that she came up with. It would be much better if things worked this way. And what the two of us were talking about, in effect, was, guess what? Medicare for all. I'm starting to feel guilty now because this woman is opening up her soul and what she thinks about healthcare and how this stuff should work and all of that. This Republican woman is talking about all this stuff. Conservative Republican woman. And afterwards I said, ma'am, first of all, what you're describing is something called Medicare for all. She was shocked. Yeah, Medicare for all. I wrote that in my book. Medicare for all. Yeah. And that's what you like. You're a conservative Republican. And then here comes the confession. And I want you to know that I am likely, I'm a progressive, I'm a liberal. I'm likely the most left-wing person you have ever spoken to. That woman, eyes open wide, she turned red like a cherry. And she looked me straight in the eye and she said, "But you are so nice." I never forgot what I told her. I replied to her like, "Ma'am, I'm no different than any other progressive, liberal, left-winger. In fact, here in Kingwood, we have a group called, Liberal Ladies Who Lunch. You should have lunch with them sometime. You should have lunch with them." And she smiled. That woman left that Starbucks very friendly with me. She liked me. You could see that she would talk about the issues and all of that. But unfortunately, she had to go home to her husband, right? And I know likely she's going to talk a lot of this stuff to her husband, what we discuss, and he's probably going to shoot her down, not realizing that many of the ideas that she's going to tell her husband about are things that she liked herself. Either I gave her a lead-in question on it, or that she came up with organically, that she saw how sensible it was. You see, because all the bad policies that we have many people supporting, are policies that they were convinced by a paid media that it was okay. They're ill-informed on purpose. None of this stuff is by accident. We are played with, if we allow ourselves to. They play us like puppets on a string unless we emancipate ourselves from such puppetry. They play us like puppets. We have to emancipate ourselves from it. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None or man can read or mind. Bob Marley. There are songs out there that I tell you, when you hear the context, it's all about what's happening today. There's so much that we have to talk about, whether it's what is AI going to do about our employment and whether AI is something that we should fear, whether healthcare, the way it's done, is the right way or not, whether capitalism as practiced today is anything but a farce. It is. It is so amazing. Laura Gomez says, "The extent of brainwashing against liberal ideas and people is unbelievable, but it is our job. And if done the right way, Laura Gomez, we can actually mitigate that." Margaret Ryan says, there are quite a few Republicans and independents that are finding out that MAGA movement does not represent policies and rhetoric that just doesn't fit. Exactly right. Sorry for the post that was sent before I was finished. Look, let me tell you, when you're sending these comments, don't worry about your grammar as long as we can understand it, because I know it's difficult to type on that phone if you're on that phone, right? So let me tell you guys, keep following what we do. We write a whole lot. I write between 1 to 5 blogs every day. Today I've already written 6 blogs, again, because I had to write the coverage for the fight, the Trump takeover. I write a lot of blogs every day. I send them out as newsletters. Again, some people say, why do you send out so many? There's so much to talk about and so much to mitigate from the mainstream media. For those of you that think it's a lot, just kind of create a rule and throw it into a Egberto off the record box that you can get to at your convenience. But I guarantee, or you can just go ahead and come to the egberto.substack.com website. But I try to keep things on the top. I try to keep things that are really going on here. I try to keep us informed and try to mitigate a lot of the crap that you hear on mainstream media. Things like they allowed the mainstream media, when Donald Trump is talking, in as much as he's lying through his teeth, I'll see MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, take an hour and a half of his press conference of saying mostly lies and misinformation. And after the press conference, after people have been bored from it and changed to some cable channel of entertainment, they may come back and correct the record. I notice MSNBC is patting themselves on the back. CNN, they're all patting themselves on the back. Why? Because they put on the president. And after they put on the president, after he's done, they make the corrections of the lies that he tells. But if you're like most people see the president go on and on and on. They get tired of listening to the lies and misinformation, or if they don't know if it's lies and misinformation, they get tired of the same old monotony and they flip the channel. They go watch the Discovery Channel. They go watch the Real Network. They go watch some other network. So by the time CNN and MSNBC are there correcting the record, guess what? The people that needed to get the correction on that record, they're not there to hear the correction. When Donald Trump said, if you're going to stay with Donald Trump, when he says a lie, immediately says, put a pause. That's not true. XYZ. You are the fourth estate. You are the ones that should be the backstop to a lying government. You should be a backstop to a lying corporate structure. You should be a backstop of any kind of lies that are out there from institutions. That's your job. Now, and with that, I run right into PBS. You know, they cut the PBS budget. And everybody's going, $1 billion gone from PBS, and everybody's very concerned about that. I was concerned at first. I'm starting to feel a little bit less concerned. And let me tell you why. My program here, I've told you this before, for those of you who've been here before. I've gotten offers, lucrative offers, to work, be a black MAGA blogger, because they can make a lot of propaganda if I were to switch like any one of these other bloggers out there, right? Oh, wow. They could give the false narrative that somehow they're gaining. I said, no. I have to look at my face every day in the mirror. I got to look at myself on this damn camera every day. Can't do that. But quite a few of them are doing that. The other day, somebody wrote in my blog, in the message, why are so many black MAGA bloggers and videographers and live streamers MAGA? And my answer is simple. They're paid well. They're paid very, very well. And that's why you see that. Our entire system is interesting in that regard. Margaret, how you doing, my sister?
Live streamers.
Hello?
Turn the radio down. Yes, Margaret, you're on. How you doing?
They're paid well.
Turn your radio down.
Just wanted to talk a little bit. I will turn down my microphone on my...
Thank you, sis.
On the show.
Great.
So I just want to agree with you on...
Turn the radio down.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Turn your radio down.
Agree with you on the MAGA.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost like the woman you cited that, you know, has called her congressman, why do you hate me? That's because since 16, 15, it's always down and we're bad and so on. And we have to cut to the chase and say, no, we're not bad people. They don't even know what woke is and liberal. They just throw it out there because they're brainwashed. The last thing is for Washington State, I'm on Eastern side, and we have a freshman Republican who's speaking today, and guess who his guest is? Jim Jordan. For God's sake.
My God.
Now, I know across the street, though, there's quite a few people. I was unable to join them protesting, and a letter was sent to Baumgardner. That's who our rep is now. Mm-hmm. And so we just have to keep plugging away and calling and marching, join a group, and also try and talk with a few of these so-called Republicans even in your family, let them talk and ask open-ended questions and just listen. And like you said, you'll find that they have the same policies in mind, and they're pissed off just like we are, but we're not the enemy. So everybody who's on, please join Substack, promote independent media, YouTube, however you can do it, and get more to join. And I appreciate everything you do, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly. Let me tell you one other thing, Margaret. One of the reasons you hear me end my show, and I mean it from the depths of my heart, I tell MAGA folks, when I tell folks I love you all, and I talk about MAGA too, because it is sort of to mitigate that feeling that these guys have, that there's just this visceral hate for these people. There's no visceral hate from any one of us. In fact, the policies that we support is not progressive policies for progressive. It's policies that make the lives better for everybody. And that is what we have to get across. And with folks like you, the promotion that you're doing, the activism that you're doing, we need everybody engaged in that. So I have to tell you, Margaret, thank you. All right. I think.
Hey, have a good rest of your day.
All right. You too, Margaret. All right. That was great. That was Margaret speaking. Okay. We're at 52 right now. Is there anybody else want to call in and say anything? That number is 281-823-7747. Let me give you that number again. 281-823-7747. I just typed it in again. I had typed it in before, but it's probably scrolled off many of your screens already. 281-823-7747. Look, I was talking about PBS when Margaret chimed in. Let me just say it may be a good thing, because now no money comes from the government, and PBS will no longer have any of certain types of restrictions that they have. We'll still have to follow certain rules. If you notice, I do my show both on KPFT 90.1 FM as well as on the internet, Substack and YouTube and all these others. Today, this is only on Substack because it's for my paid subscribers, even though I've opened it to everybody here, hoping that some of you will become paid subscribers today, of course. When you get off, you'll click that says, I like this program and I like what he's doing. I've read his blog and I want to be a part of supporting what we do. But when I'm on KPFT 90.1 FM, I have certain restrictions on what I can say, and the way I can say it, etc., because we are on your airwaves. And there are certain words we can't use. There are certain things we can't promote, etc. And I make sure to follow the rules when I'm on air. But all of the PBS stuff, it's good that they're not supported, because now when I am doing my online stuff, when I write my Substack newsletter, when I write my blogs, when I do my videos on YouTube and all these other places, I am unrestricted from saying anything. I can be 100% with all of you. And that is the freedom that PBS is going to buy itself. Not having to have that $1 billion, because no longer is the watchdog going to have to worry about anything that PBS does. They still have to follow FCC rules when they are broadcasting on our national airwaves. But other than that, they are free. Now, there's an additional thing. I decided not to be a 501c3 because, again, when you're a 501c3, there are certain restrictions that you have to follow. When I'm on KPFT, you will never hear me say, you should never support that candidate. This candidate is bad, and we should be voting for XYZ. I can't say that on KPFT. You can say it when you call in, but I can't. But I can say on this network here that I'm on right now, on Substack, on YouTube, on anywhere, because I'm not a 501c3, I can say, you guys, if you vote for XYZ, you'll be voting for your demise, and you should actually vote for the other. And that's why sometimes people would say, why do you say this on KPFT, but you say it this way when you're on there's a KPFT show on air is at 6:00 a.m. Central, and my regular show comes on at 3 p.m. Central, and I have to say things a bit differently depending on what platform I'm on. And that's why you see those differences. But anyway, so the PBS story could be a blessing in disguise. I see no reason why a network as good as PBS will not be able throughout the United States to get $1 billion a year in support right now. I do not see why that isn't definitely something they can do. And with that, the government lose all the leverage they have on what they may do that's not on air. I think it may be a blessing in disguise, and it gives them the opportunity to go more in depth on what they do. My opinion, but we'll see. But as far as we're concerned, we're at 6:56, which means we're about to leave the program. So what I want to ask all of you that are, like I said, this is our Sunday program is really made for our paid subscribers. But in order to build more, I am trying to open it up to other folks to come in to become, to see, do you like what we're doing? Look at our blogs. By the way, let me just put, if you want to see all the website that's a corresponding Substack, in case you don't know how to do it, that's the link that I just placed in there. All the things that we write. I want to ask respectfully, if you have the wherewithal. I know there are a lot of people asking you for money. A lot of people, hey, all we're asking for is an inexpensive subscription to our program. And with that, you get access to read all of my books, which are online on Substack. Let me scroll those books, actually. You get access to all of my books online, right? And any subsequent book that I write. I'm writing a book right now, and I'm still fuddling with the title. It has to do with capitalism, because you have to be very careful when you talk about capitalism, because they try to label you a communist. I'm not. So I'm working on that factually in a manner that everybody's going to see, oh my God, this is what we should be doing. So before I'm going to chime off in a minute, but I want to ask those of you who have the wherewithal, please consider becoming a paid subscriber of Politics Done Right, going to politicsdoneright. You can either go to that Substack that I just put there, or go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. A lot of, I see quite a few of you here that are subscribers. We need a hell of a lot more. So I'm asking you to please consider doing that. Need a whole lot of help with videos. All those videos that you see, I spent all day last night till 2 this morning and earlier today slicing and cutting and picking out which pieces to best tell the story for all of you to see. But anyhow, you can always reach me by going to info@politicsdoneright.com. That is info@politicsdoneright.com. Again, you can become a paid member by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm putting that in the link again, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All right. I'll be on air, KPFT 90.1 FM tomorrow, 6 a.m. And of course, our 3 p.m. show. All of that is Central Time. Great topics to cover tomorrow, man. And as you guys know, we get a whole lot of good calls that come into that program as well. So until those of you who will be up early enough to listen to me at 6 a.m. Central till 6 o'clock, to those of you who watch at 3 p.m. Central, we'll see you at 3 p.m. And for some of those who watch occasionally, I'll see you then. But anyway, thank you for watching Politics Done Right on Egberto Off the Record. My name is Egberto Willies, of course, and thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.